Welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a London rivalry. The London rivalry between Chelsea and Tottenham. Because on the 6th of November 2023, just the other day, Tottenham Hotspurs hosted Chelsea at home. And I've got to say, it was probably one of the most exciting games of football I think I have ever seen. Now, before we get into that episode and do a few of your shout-outs and your messages, I need to tell those super listeners out there that the episode which will come out next on Patreon, as chosen by you, the super listeners, will be Peter Schmeichel. There was a poll on the Patreon page between Mary Earps and Peter Schmeichel, and Schmeichel won that vote. I will do an episode on Mary Earps in the not-so-distant future, so don't you worry, what a player she is. But for this one, it's going to be the legend himself, Mr. Peter Schmeichel. If you're not already a super listener and you're interested in finding out on how to become one, you can click on the link in the description of this episode. Right then, let's do a few of your shout-outs and your messages, shall we? The first one says, "Hi Darren, my name is Ted and I am 6 years old. I would like an episode on Anthony Martial, please, as I'm a Manchester United fan. I play for my club, now I think they're called Buells, in the under-8s team, and I love your podcast and listen to them every night. Thank you, Darren." And that is from Ted. Well, a massive shout out to you, Ted. Thank you very much for being a listener and thank you for your message. A huge shout out to your teammates, your coaches and everybody you know. Right, the next one says, "Hi, my name is James Murter. I am 7 years old and I play football for Stonyford United FC in County Kilkenny, Ireland. I love training with my team every Saturday and I support Liverpool." Now, this message was sent all the way back in May, and it says, "My brother Dylan will be 5 years old next Monday, so Dylan is 6 years old now. Happy birthday to him, and he's looking forward to start training with my team soon." Well, Dylan, you're probably already training. He supports Tottenham. We have another brother called Connor, who is 3 years old. He might even be 4 now. He watches me train too, and he supports Manchester United. We all love listening to your podcast and away to school in the mornings. Our favourite episodes are the ones on Kylian Mbappe and Harry Kane. We would love it if you could do an episode on Maradona versus Pele. Thanks from James, Dylan and Connor. And they finished their message with 2. Good work, lads. Thanks for being listeners, and a massive shout out to every single one of you and everybody that you know. And the penultimate one on this episode says, "Hello, my name is JC and I play for Stotfold under-8s. I would love to hear an episode about Edison. I support Manchester City and I like watching World Cups. My mum would like to hear a podcast about the Women's World Cup, especially Mary Earps, and how she likes to keep a clean sheet for goals. Thanks from JC." Well, a huge shout out to you, JC, and to your mum. And Mary Earps, as I said at the start, will be an episode which we do in the not-so-distant future. And Edison is an episode which we've already done. So hopefully you've had a chance to listen to it. Thanks for being a listener, JC. And the last shout out and message on this episode says, "Hi Darren, our names are Owen and Liam. We live in Ireland and love listening to your podcast so much. Owen is 7 and is a massive Liverpool supporter, and Liam is 5 and supports Manchester United and Liverpool. Our favourite episodes are Mo Salah and Marcus Rashford. Will you say hello to us and all our friends in the junior senior infants in Ardfield National School? We play football in school nearly every single day. We would love to hear episodes on Bruno Fernandes and Virgil van Dijk. Thanks Darren, you're brilliant." From Owen and Liam. Well, Owen and Liam, thank you very much for such a lovely message. A massive shout out to you. A hello to everybody that you know and everybody that you play football with. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode and you've had a chance to listen to the episode on Virgil van Dijk. And don't worry, Bruno Fernandes is on that very long list. And what an episode that will be. Right then, let's get in to a London rivalry. The most recent London derby between Tottenham and Chelsea ended 4-1 to Chelsea. But the scoreline doesn't tell the story of such a rich rivalry. Just in case you didn't watch the game or you haven't heard anything about it, there were 10 goals scored in total. 5 of them were counted and 5 of them were disallowed. There were 9 VAR checks throughout the whole match, which might just be the highest amount of VAR checks in a Premier League match. There were 2 red cards given to Tottenham, bringing them down to 9 players, and they held on to a 1-1 draw all the way up into the 75th minute. There was a penalty, and only 3 of the outfield players who started the game for Spurs finished the game. The other 7 were either sent off or subbed off, and there was a minimum of 21 minutes extra time, which is nearly another quarter of a half. It was one of the most entertaining, nail-biting and brilliant games of football I have ever seen. But where does that rivalry start? Well, the games between Chelsea and Tottenham go back to 1909 at Stamford Bridge, where over 50,000 fans packed into the stadium to see the start of a very special rivalry. Chelsea ended up winning that game 2-1, but a lot has happened between the two over the past 115 years. One of the biggest matches on record between the two was the FA Cup in 1967. It was the first FA Cup final to be held between 2 London teams in the 1900s, and it was called the Cockney Cup. If you're not sure what Cockney means, many people believe that anyone from London is a Cockney. But the true root of those who are Cockneys were born in the east part of London, which could hear something called the Bow Bells. You may have heard some Cockney slang, or may even use it without even knowing it. Skin and blister means sister, bees and honey means money, and dog and bone means phone. Anyway, with it being 2 London teams, it got that title, the Cockney Cup. 100,000 fans packed into the old Wembley Stadium to see a London classic, where Tottenham were victorious, winning the game 2-1 and lifting the trophy. 7 years after the Cockney Cup, the rivalry between Chelsea and Tottenham grew even further, as in the 1974-1975 season, neither Chelsea nor Tottenham were doing very well, and they were both in a fight for survival, as they were both at serious risk of being relegated from the First Division. It came down to the last few games of the season, and Chelsea and Tottenham battled it out, both in desperate need of all the points they could get. Spurs ended up beating Chelsea 2-0 in one of the final games of the season. Chelsea lost their remaining games and Spurs survived. Chelsea went down. The tension around that period of football meant that the rivalry grew even stronger. Later on down the line, Chelsea became the better team, and over many, many games, Tottenham just couldn't beat them. There was a period of over 10 years that Chelsea was unbeaten against Spurs. That is a long time. There haven't been that many players over the years that have played for both Chelsea and Tottenham, but one of the more high-profile players who did was a French player called William Gallas. He was a brave man because he played with 3 clubs who all had rivalries with each other. He played for Chelsea, and then he went to Arsenal, and then he went to Tottenham. Now, this may have been a coincidence, but he then went a few thousand miles away to play for Perth Glory. Over the years and across many games of football that the two have played against each other, Chelsea have won 78 games, there have been 43 draws, and Tottenham have won 55. So Chelsea are on top of the stats. The biggest win between the two came in 1920 when Tottenham beat Chelsea 5-0. And a more recent one, but was still quite a long time ago, was 1997 when Chelsea beat Spurs away by 6-1. The record goal scorer for this classic London rivalry was an amazing player called Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. We'll have to do an episode on him in the not so distant future. The next time that the two teams will meet in the league is the 24th of February 2024. And who knows, we may well have another classic on our hands. If you haven't watched the highlights or the whole match from November 6th, you've got to go and see them. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about a classic London rivalry. So, remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.